Good morning. Welcome to Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church. I am Tricia Lewis. My pronouns are she, hers. Let it be known that all are welcome here. Our mission as a church is to be a community of hope, challenging us to transform ourselves, promote love and justice, respect all faiths, and shepherd our planet. It is a joy to be together again. As we gather, may we make space for all that we bring, all that is on our hearts each time we come together. This is one of the promises of our faith tradition, that all of who we are is welcome in our co-created and shared sacred space. Welcome to those joining us on YouTube. Welcome to those joining us here in the sanctuary. I am grateful for this space that can hold us all. It is good to be together.
Good morning again. I'm Abby Summer, my pronouns are she, hers, and we're going to begin our service with the shared ritual of lighting our chalice, so I'd like to invite Ellie and Lila up to do that. This is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. Franciscan priest and author Richard Rohr says, "What are you given to do? Don't imagine it needs to be something world-changing, some singular task that is yours alone. Rather, see what each moment is calling you to do. Feed your child, walk your dog, save a person from friendless despair. Whatever it is you are called to do, if it leads to justice and compassion, do it with joy, knowing that you are here to do and not simply to be." And now I ask you all to stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1008 in the blue hymnal, "When Your Heart is in a Holy Place."
The Dalai Lama says, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. So I invite you now to practice some compassion with yourself and others by turning and offering a gesture of friendship to the people around you.
whoa, okay. There we go. Level's good? All right. If you are young or young at heart and you would like to come up closer for the message for all ages, come on and do that now. I think everybody's ready to hear me. Cody, those are fantastic shoes. Good morning. It is nice to be on this side today because I can look out and see all of these wonderful faces in front of me here and out in the pews. And today we have a story. It's a little bit longer than our normal message for all ages, but it's what the grown-ups are going to be talking about for the entire rest of the service. So it's kind of cool. You get a peek into the grown-up side today. Okay? Yes, this is called the 3 questions. And I don't know about you, but I have a lot more than 3 questions pretty much all the time. But this story is about 3 really important questions. All right, here we go. There once was a boy named Nikolai who sometimes felt uncertain about the right way to act. I want to be a good person, he told his friends, but I don't always know the best way to do that. Nikolai's friends understood and they wanted to help him. If only I could find the answers to my 3 questions, Nikolai continued, then I would always know what to do. When is the best time to do things? Who is the most important one? What is the right thing to do? Nikolai's friends considered his first question. Then Sonia, the heron, spoke. To know the best time to do things, one must plan in advance, she said. Gogol the monkey, who had been rooting through some leaves to find something good to eat, said, You will know when to do things if you watch and pay close attention. Then Pushkin the dog, who was just dozing off, rolled over and said, You can't pay attention to everything yourself. You need a pack to keep watch and help you decide when to do things. For example, Gogol, a coconut is about to fall on your head. Nikolai thought for a moment. Then he asked his second question. Who is the most important one? Those who are closest to heaven, said Sonia, circling up to the sky. Those who know how to heal the sick, said Gogol, stroking his bruised noggin. Those who make the rules, growled Pushkin. Nikolai thought some more. Then he asked the third question. What is the right thing to do? Flying, said Sonia. Having fun all the time, laughed Gogol. Fighting, barked Pushkin right away. Then the boy thought for a long while. He loved his friends, and he knew they were all trying their best to help him answer his questions. But their answers didn't seem quite right. Then an idea came to him. I know, he thought. I will ask Leo the turtle. He has lived a very long time. Surely he will know the answers I am looking for. Nikolai hiked high up into the mountains where the old turtle lived all alone. When Nikolai arrived, he found Leo digging a garden. The turtle was old and digging was hard for him. I have 3 questions and I came to ask your help, Nikolai said. When is the best time to do things? Who is the most important one? What is the right thing to do? Leo listened carefully, but he only smiled. Then he went on with his digging. You must be tired, Nikolai said at last. Let me help you. The turtle gave him his shovel and thanked him. And because it was easier for a young boy to dig than it was for an old turtle, Nikolai kept on digging until the rows were finished. But just as he finished, the wind blew wildly and rain burst from darkened clouds. As they moved towards the cottage for shelter, Nikolai suddenly heard a cry for help. Running down the path, he found a panda whose leg had been injured by a fallen tree. Carefully, Nikolai carried her into Leo's house and made a splint for her leg with a stick of bamboo. It's a good thing Nikolai is really strong. I think the panda's spreading out to help him carry him easily. The storm raged on, banging at the doors and windows, and the panda woke up. "Where am I?" she said, "and where is my child?" The boy ran out of the cottage and down the path. The roar of the storm was deafening. Pushing against the howling wind and drenching rain, he ran further into the forest. There he found the panda's child, cold and shivering on the ground. The little panda was wet and scared, but alive. Nikolai carried her inside and made her warm and dry. Then he laid her in her mother's arms. Leo smiled when he saw what the boy had done. The next morning, the sun was warm, birds sang, and all was well with the world. The panda's leg was healing nicely, and she thanked Nikolai for saving her and her baby from the storm. At that moment, Sonia, Gogol, and Pushkin arrived to make sure everyone was all right. Nikolai felt great peace within himself. He had wonderful friends, and he had saved the panda and her child. But he also felt disappointed. He still had not found answers to his 3 questions. So he asked Leo one more time. The old turtle looked at the boy. "But your questions have been answered," he said. "They have?" asked the boy. "Yesterday, if you had not stayed to help me dig my garden, you wouldn't have heard the panda's cries for help in the storm. Therefore, the most important time was the time you spent digging in the garden. The most important one at that moment was me, and the most important thing to do was to help me with my garden. Later, when you found the injured panda, the most important time was the time you spent mending her leg and saving her child. The most important ones were the panda and her baby, and the most important thing to do was to take care of them and make them safe. Remember, then, that there is only one important time, and that time is now. The most important one is always the one you are with. And the most important thing to do is good for the one that is standing by your side. For these, my dear boy, are the answers to what is most important in this world. This is why we are here." And that's the end. A lot to think about in that one, isn't there? All right, let's stand up and do our blessing. We are blessed. We are blessed by being. We are blessed by being here. We are blessed by being here together.
Mother Teresa once said, "Love cannot remain by itself. It has no meaning. Love has to be put into action, and that action is service. Whatever form we are, able or disabled, rich or poor, it is not how much we do, but how much love we put in the doing, a lifelong sharing of love with others." Each month, we partner with a local organization and share our collection. Our partner for October is the Ostara Initiative, Wisconsin Prison Birth Project. And there are many ways we give to the life of this church, and the monetary offering is just one of these ways. We invite you now to spread some happiness and responsibility with the offering. To use a text to give option, please see the order of service for instructions. Part of being in community is sharing our joys and our sorrows with one another. If you would like to share a spoken joy or sorrow, I'll ask you to come forward to the microphone or raise your hand and a microphone will be brought to you. Once the spoken joys and sorrows are finished, you may come forward and light a candle to represent the unspoken joy or sorrow that's in your heart. Please remember that our service is being streamed online. Those who would like to share spoken joys or sorrows may come forward at this time.
Joe Cushing. What a joy it was yesterday to attend the No Kings rally. We had over estimated 250 people, and despite a few fingers from the crowd passing by, the response was overwhelmingly positive. And we had a large contingent, naturally, from OBUUC. How nice it was. Thank you.
Hi, Diane Lang. I have a joy that there are so many people in this church that I know that are doing amazing work to support this church and where we're going. I also happen to know I have a deep joy for one person in particular that I know really well. And not only does he help in ways for the church, but he also recently did sound training for a new team of people that raise school supplies for our teachers. He's like out hauling signs. He's cleaning mouse turds and trimming hedges at the church. And in September, Bill Garvey and I shared 48 years of marriage. I want to give a shout out. Hey, Billy, love you.
Hello, Jay, Keith. The first 21 years of my life was a nightmare, so that's been weighing on me a lot recently, but I like to think that I at least learned something from it, like empathy, and how to help other people who are going through stuff. So I try to stay positive about that at least.
Now, if you would like to light a candle for an unspoken joy or sorrow, you may come forward at this time. We light one final candle for the joys and sorrows that are on the hearts of those joining us online. We invite you to stand in body or spirit and join us in singing Spirit of Life, number 123 in the gray hymnal.
Everybody, good morning. It's good to see everybody. I'm Mark Summer. My pronouns are he, him. Honored to always come here in front of everybody and talk. So as Abby had mentioned, the title of the sermon is called The Three Questions. It's kind of The story there, which I actually learned, is actually from based off of Leo Tolstoy short story. And I didn't really know a whole lot about Tolstoy. I mean, I know he's famous for War and Peace and Anna Karenina and some other he's pretty much considered one of the greatest authors. But in his 50s, he had somewhat of a spiritual awakening or revolution, I guess, in his mindset. He kind of adopted a philosophy that was, he did some studying, and then he adopted a philosophy based on the Sermon on the Mount, where he really focused in on that. He kind of stripped away all like the dogma of Christianity, took all the miracles, all that stuff, and he really just focused on what the Sermon on the Mount stood for. He kind of gave up a lot of his wealth and all that, things like that. And he was really anti government structures. He was really outspoken about government in the Russian Orthodox Church, because he thought those were very against really what Jesus was teaching. When we talk about the Sermon on the Mount. So I'm going to talk a little bit about his story and kind of just fill in some gaps in information and look at that as kind of like a parable, really, about a journey, kind of a spiritual journey. You can look at that story as our own journey, kind of from spiritual maybe immaturity to a more mature spiritual way of being in the world. So in Tolstoy's story, the king is trying to find the answer to the 3 questions that'll help him make the right decisions in life. And I'm sure all of us can resonate with that, right? If we only knew all the answers, wouldn't it be great? We've had all the answers. And the 3 questions was, what's the right time to begin everything? Who's the most important people to listen to? And what's the most important thing to do? I mean, man, those would be great. In the story here, the Tolstoy version, the king is looking for these answers. He's offering money, he's offering rewards for all these advisors to come and talk to him. And he just keeps getting all this different advice. It's very contradictory, and it doesn't seem like that's the right thing to do. So still determined to find the truth, he goes off and sets out to visit the wise hermit. It's always, you got to travel the journey, 1,000 faces, the hero's quest. The hermit who lives in the woods, known for his wisdom, but the hermit only meets common people. So that's kind of a little interesting wrinkle. He wouldn't, meet with kings. So the king himself has to come disguised and put on like a cloak and look like a peasant. When the king arrives, he finds the old frail hermit digging in the garden, and the king's asking him his questions. And the hermit's just kind of just ignoring him, just smiling, nodding. But eventually the king kind of realized, hey, I got to actually do something. I don't just get to get this information free. And so after a while, he actually picks up the shovel and starts digging for the old hermit. And after a day spent working in the garden with the hermit, the sun's setting, suddenly a bearded man comes walking out of the forest, and he's got this horrible wound in his stomach. He's bleeding out of his stomach. And the king and the hermit see him, and the king tends to the man's injuries, washing, cleaning the wound, taking care of him. They bring him into the hut, and all night the king is just making sure he's going to be okay. Well, the next day, the man reveals himself to be actually the king's enemy. He was actually planning to try to kill the king. He had saw the king change into his disguise, and he was like, I'm going to ambush him. And but before he did, the king's bodyguards were kind of still somewhere out there in the woods, got him. So when the king learns about this, this man had been wanting to kill the king because I guess the king had executed his brother over some kind of land problem or something. But after the king saves his life, the man repents and pledges his loyalty to him. And the king is overjoyed and forgives his enemy and promises to restore his property. And so, again, similar to the children's story we heard, where Nikolai was healing the panda. The king once more asked the hermit, well, what were the 3 questions? I'm still looking for these answers. And the hermit pretty much says, you've already got your answers. The most crucial time is now. It's always now, because where are we? This is it. We are in the present moment here. Where can we actually serve people and do things? This is it, right now. We can't do it in the past. We can't do it in the future. Had the king not stayed to help the hermit, he might have been attacked and killed. Also, he wouldn't have been able to learn and get the answers he's looking for. The most important person is really the one we're currently with, the people around us at that time, as no one can be certain of the future. And while being the hermit was the most important person, then when tending to the wounded man, that man was the most important. And the most important action is to do good for the people you are with, for doing good is the purpose of life. So the king's most vital work was helping the hermit and also caring for the wounded man. So now if you look a little bit deeper into the story, like I had said before, I kind of think it's this can relate to all of us, right? This is like a journey teaching us about kind of spiritual growth. But also I think when you learn about Tolstoy a little bit and kind of what he did, I think there's also a little bit of a story about his own journey. So I think most of us are like the king, right? I feel like a lot of us, we're coming here, we're searching for truth, meaning, we're searching for the right way to live. I think all of us are also confused by that, I'm sure. So many contradictory opinions, ideas out there. You go on the internet and just, this is the best diet, and this is the best thing. Don't eat this food. Do this. If only you do this many exercises and that you just go back and forth all the time. This is overwhelming. And a lot of times we're just left dissatisfied and confused. So there's something we have to really go beyond just scratching the surface and looking at the internet, And this is the call. So the call, when we talk about going to see the hermit, I think that's the call a lot of us feel when we're looking for something a little bit deeper, whatever that be. We're looking for God, or we're looking for some kind of spiritual insight, whether it be out in nature or wherever you go. The hermit represents the wisdom and experience found in our teachers and our spiritual guides. The hermit teaches not through words, but through actions. I think he embodies Tolstoy's belief that truth is found in humility, labor, love, and not in intellectual debate or power. Like I said, did you notice that the king had to wear a disguise and turn into the peasant before he was able to talk to the hermit? Often I think that's the thing. For us to learn about truth, we have to get beyond our feelings. And we do that in our church. We try to get beyond our feelings of power and privilege and peel off a lot of the masks that we wear. All the false identities we have, all the fronts we put up with our loved ones and people out there, and try to get beyond that. Until I do that, a lot of times I can't really even handle the truth. I can't even handle that knowledge. So when the king finally meets the hermit just kind of smiles and nods, and the king finally realizes, hey, I gotta do something here. I gotta do the work. He has to actually get his hands dirty and get to digging. In the Buddhist tradition, a lot of times seekers, people that were looking for knowledge, would go into the monastery, but they would have to just sit outside for days, maybe even weeks, before they let them in. And they're out by the door, and they're like, well, we have to see how committed this person is before we teach you these deep spiritual secrets. The reality is there's no easy answers, right? I know I want them. I'm always looking for a shortcut. There's times when I'm clicking on articles about the new diets and all that, life hacks, spiritual insights. I don't even read the articles. I just go right down to the bullet points. That's how they tell you, all right, I can't read all this. I got to go down to the bullet points. Unfortunately, the thing is when they come that easily, they fall away just that easily. It's just it's like just coming in, pouring in one ear and going out the other. And I think many of us know things that in life that are worthwhile take time, practice, dedication. And the king and hermit, what are they doing? They're working in the garden. And I think the garden, what a great metaphor the garden is for really any spiritual growth or cultivation. It's slow, it's time consuming, you have to get your hands dirty, but we have to learn patience and love and care. The whole verse, we reap what we sow. What are we planting? What seeds are we planting? Am I planting love? Am I planting patience? Or am I planting anger and anxiety and those kinds of things? Just a little sidebar here, just I want to plug this, but like I can say for me personally right now in the last year, I've really got a lot out of 3 people that I've been using as my like kind of gurus or hermits, what you want to call it. I've been getting a lot out of Ram Dass, many of you are familiar with him. Richard Rohr, if you ever heard of him, there's so much stuff. And then Jack Kornfield, a lot of us like listen to Jack Kornfield a lot in our meditations, but I mean these guys are just great spiritual people, also like have so much great storytelling. There's a lot of stuff on the internet and books for them you can look up as well. So the next part of that story was that the wounded man stumbles into the scene. All right, here comes the wounded man. The king attends to the man, cares for him, washing and healing his wounds. He stays with him all night. The man reveals he was the king's enemy, but since the king saved his life, he will now pledge his loyalty to the king. I think this is kind of like the turning point of the story. The point where the king learns the lesson of compassion and forgiveness. We see that even our enemies deserve mercy and that loving service can heal hatred. So I know like we look around the world and we think of all these things that are going around the world in Ukraine and Russia, and look at Gaza and look at Israel and all that. And we can be very one-sided in what we think. I mean, but can we hold both sides really with love? Can we hold that and not make judgments on stuff that and try to just understand it from like a level of the heart. We see that I think also like based on what Tolstoy wrote, I think a lot of this is based off the Sermon on the Mount, loving your enemies. I mean, obviously Jesus preached that. It's like, okay, anybody can love their friends and family, but can you also love the people who are really out to get you? Can you have compassion? A lot of Buddhist guys, like I know a lot of Buddhists are really deep into the compassion, and they sometimes even welcome and say, I was thankful for the Chinese government like oppressing me because like that just brought out more compassion and more love and more practice. Those are, I mean, you got to be pretty high advanced, I think, but we try to get to that point. It is hard. Jesus talked about, the Good Samaritan asking like the message to love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus says, everybody deserves compassion, like the Samaritan was kind of like the bad guy. The Jews viewed him as, almost evil, I guess. Or you could think about our country, how we have the Republicans, Democrats, left and right and all that. How easily we're so close. These are our people that live with us, our neighbors. And a lot of times we're like, that they're evil, or this, we use words like that all the time. And understanding that everyone is our neighbor and deserves compassion, even those perceived enemies. Are we able to love people we disagree with? I know we just had the No Kings March, right? We do that. Hopefully we do that out of love and not hatred. Because if we're doing it for the wrong reasons, it's not changing anything. And so when we do these things, we have to do it from a place of love and kindness and empathy. And that our way, we try to do the best we can, but that may not always be, we can't always think that our way is the best. Ram Dass, he often talk about like seeing God in everybody we meet. A lot of times he would say like, people are like God in drag or guru in drag. And he would specifically say like the most challenging people that would bring the most valuable lessons and compassion and love for him. So like people that brought out the worst in him were the areas that he would like be like, oh my God, what happened? Why did that get triggered? Why did the anger get triggered? Why did the frustration get triggered? And that was where he actually had the most learning take place because he was always examining those interactions. And so we think about that because that's where I need to cultivate that patience and love, as Jesus would say, forgive them for they know not what they do. Tolstoy says the most important time is now. The most important person is who you are with, and the most important thing to do is do good and serve with love to those around you. Think about the similar Buddhist teaching. I think a lot of this, when I read this, it was like, in this story, the guy, John J. Ruth, he's got a lot of great books, and he does a lot of parables kind of thing, but he does a lot of like Zen, like little things like that as well. So when I heard this story, I almost thought it was more of like a Buddhist thing, not realizing it was Tolstoy, but when I learned about Tolstoy's religious beliefs, he is very like, almost more universal. So he kind of transcended what we consider probably normal Christianity, the way we view it today. He actually was an inspiration to Gandhi. They actually became friends, or they were writing back and forth, and Gandhi learned a lot of his pacifism, because Tolstoy became an absolute pacifist. And he believed in that. Like that was the only way you could really change things. So, I mean, I'm really interested in learning more about Tolstoy actually after this. So Ram Dass famously taught about his organization is called Love, Serve, and Remember. And, you know, many people have read the book Be Here Now. Yet, the whole concept of that can be very difficult. So our minds are constantly liking to dwell in the memories of the past, the fantasies of the future. But when we practice, so like, what do we need to do? I know, like we talked about this. We want to be like more loving. We want to be more kind. And many of you know me that you know I like to practice meditation. I like to practice certain spiritual practices, and so I'm going to offer some of that in a second here. For us to kind of get to that mindset, what do we need to do? A lot of times we need to practice mindfulness and meditation and learn to just kind of bring our mind back over and over again with loving kindness to the present moment. The moment where our heart resides. Healing and compassion can exist. All right, when we're fully present, we begin to plant the seeds of compassion, just like the hermit and the king in that garden where they're digging. So today we're going to do a little of our own digging now. You are going to get out your shovels and we're going to do some work and practice together. Some of you probably didn't realize that yet. So, you didn't think you were going to get to sit here and just listen the whole time, did you? All right, one way that we're going to be getting more present is learn to serve and love around us is to develop a consistent daily practice. And so some of you may have that, some of you may not have a consistent practice, but I offer you to think about maybe developing something like that of mindfulness, prayer, meditation, yoga, or what I'm going to offer right now as a gift, a little bit of a Qigong practice that we're going to do together. So I'm going to ask you to join me, probably like 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes long. Now Qigong, some of you may have never heard of that. Anybody, raise your hand if you've never heard of Qigong, if you've never heard of it. All right, well you're going to get to learn something. So, Qigong is a Chinese form of what I consider like a moving meditation. So it's like you're moving your arms and breathing in, and then you're breathing out. It's stuff like that. So it's like moving like one way, and then you might sway the other way, and you're going to be breathing in and out like this, like that. So Qigong is a spiritual practice with flowing movement, deep rhythmic breathing, and a calm meditative state of mind. Qigong is used to cultivate and balance the mystical life force inside of us called Qi. And so, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to lead people in some Qigong. So, I would invite you, if you're willing and able and want to do it, you can stand up and do it. If you want to do it sitting down, you can also do it sitting down. Sitting down is fine. And if you want to just sit and just kind of like be in a meditative state and quietly just reflect and listen, that is welcome too. So, all right, so I'm going to have, if you are able to, so go ahead and stand up. You're probably going to want to have a little bit of space, about an arm's length of space between you and the person next to you. And so I don't know if you can hear me with this now. You can, all right. All right, so you said Qigong is a little bit like a moving meditation, and one way we do that, we just kind of start like moving back and forth, kind of slowly loosen up the spine. Just like when we think about like chakras, the Chinese also have similar things as well. All the energy going up and down our spine. forth. We're going to go back this way. We're going to breathe in. And then we breathe out and go the other way. Breathe in. And then we breathe out. Breathe in. This one's one of my favorites. This is what I call the fountain. And so the fountain is imagining the energy of the earth is coming up through your body, all the way up to your top of your head, and coming out all around into the room, filling up the earth. So it's like a breathing in, and then you can just feel all the energy coming through your body, and just sharing all that energy with everybody around us. Breathe in. Breathe in. Everybody can do this. I know if Abby can do it, you can do it. Because Abby a lot of times is opposite of me in a lot of the spiritual ways and everything. And so Abby's doing it with a smile right now, so I appreciate that. Breathe in. And breathe out. All right, one more. Really feel that. All right, we just have a few more left. We're going to kind of go back and forth like this. So like if you want to just imagine when you go this way, you're going to breathe in. And then go back and breathe in. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right, we're going to switch to the other leg, so whatever is easier for you to ever turn around or go the same direction. All right, here we go. Breathe in. Breathe out. Draw the energy in. And out. Breathe in. And out. We're going to do what's called cloud hands now. So this one's going to be kind of moving back and forth like this. We're just breathing in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And then we're going to introduce the hands. So we breathe in and then breathe out. And breathe in and then breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. So now this one we're going to kind of throw the energy away. So all that bad energy or anything that we got trapped in here, we're going to breathe in. And then breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe in. All right, last one. All right. So now we're going to do what's called shark fin or Buddha palm. We're going to breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe out. Two more. Breathe in. Going to do one more big deep breath in. Take all the energy from the universe and bring it back down nice and slow and breathe out. And just feel that stillness. If you want to put your hands like this, I do thank you. Very blessed to be here, blessing that we're in this body, blessed to have this breath, this life, blessed to be here together with all of you, and I hope you got something out of that practice a little bit. There's a lot of that on YouTube if you're ever interested in that, or I can talk to you more about that. But that's the end of our practice, so I'm thankful that you did that. Maybe you were a little uncomfortable doing that, but that was great. That's what we're here for, to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit, and so I appreciate that. So now, I do ask you to stand again in body of spirit. Sorry, just sat down. We are going to sing the hymn 131, Love Will Guide Us in the Gray Hymnal. So we got a little energy in this one.
Go in peace. Live simply, gently, at home in yourselves. Act justly. Speak justly. Remember the depth of your own compassion. Forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. Do not desire to be wealthier than your peers, and stint not your hand of charity. Practice forbearance. Speak the truth, or speak not. Take care of yourselves as bodies, for you are a good gift. Crave peace for all people in the world, beginning with yourselves, and go as you go with the dream of that peace alive in your heart.
So take courage, my friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down, there is another truth. You are not alone. We extinguish our chalice, but not the light in this community. This light cannot be extinguished, for it lives in each of us, reminding us we are connected, held always in a larger love. This service is ended. Your service begins again. Peace and unrest.
I'm Gregory Mason. It's time for announcements, and we'll start with Bill Garvey, our board co-president.
Thank you again, Alejandro. Beautiful. So, a couple of things. A couple hats today, including my brewer hat, which is kind of sad to wear. And I am Bill Garvey, co-president of the board, and at the risk of sounding pedantic, Joe Cushing, in his joy, mentioned being at the No Kings rally, and if I heard him correctly, he said there were 250 people, and there were, if you weren't there, just for the record, the count was greater than 2,500. So if you were there, you felt that. That's what Joe intended to say. So we get to share that joy all over again. So we went to Kenosha too, and probably more people there even than there were. So this announcement is concerning finding our way home. On the continuum of finding our way home, the OBUUC Board of Trustees wants to bring to the attention of the congregation one of the next steps. As was mentioned in the October Unifier, on the notes from the board section, the board has created what is being called the 625 negotiating team, and here are a few more details on that. This team will enter into discussion and negotiations with any outside party as a prospective buyer that has serious interest in the ownership of our building. The team will explore advantages and disadvantages concerning any possible transition of the building. Upon conclusion of any negotiation, the team will report to the Board of Trustees. The OBUUC members who have agreed to serve on this team are Dina Lieberman, Christina Mondragon, and Jeff Ciuta. To those three OBUUC members, we thank you for your continued service to Olympia Brown Union Church. Excuse me. And if and when the board agrees to move forward with a proposal on the sale or transition of 625, the board will bring the information to the congregation for consideration. There would be a special congregational meeting and a vote as defined in our bylaws regarding any transition of the building. And just for context here, as this question may already be forming in your mind, this excerpt from our bylaws: the purchase, sale of real estate, or entering into a capital campaign requires 2/3 vote of the members present at a congregational meeting. If there are questions about this team, this process, or our bylaws on the issue, please feel free to contact one of the board co-presidents, moi, Bill, or Suzanne Landis. Thank you, your OBUUC Board of Trustees. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Next Saturday is the celebration of life for Shirley Reynolds here in the sanctuary. Visitation is at 10 a.m. The service is at 11 a.m. with a reception to follow in Erman Hall. The service will be live streamed and recorded for those that cannot make it in person. If you have pictures of Shirley you would like included, please reach out to her daughter, Debbie. She is available through Facebook Messenger. Next Sunday will be a Halloween service, and all are encouraged to wear costumes. Halloween Fun Night is Saturday, November 1st. Bring your Love Pantry donations to church on Sunday mornings. Our middle and high school youth will use them to fill the pantry on the first Sunday of the month. If you need to reference the monthly unifier email, there is a link in each Sunday's email that will take you to it. Be sure to check your monthly and weekly emails for more information on some of these announcements, along with other community announcements and news that are not announced here in church. I'd like to thank our volunteers today, our ushers, Nancy Hennessy and Colleen Wilkinson, our Zoom host, Anita Miller, our coffee hour hosts, Claire and Fred Cross, along with Dina Lieberman, and on camera and sound, Bill Garvey. Please join us for coffee hour in Erman Hall. If you are on YouTube, log into Zoom for your coffee hour. The link is in today's email.